Documented immigrants. So we have slightly different questions, but these were all taken within the last month. And there's real uniformity here. That's what I really think you see. You see real uniformity. Deported all immigrants who are here illegally, 55% of the New York Times. Marquette, 64%. CBS News, 57%. ABC News with a slightly different question, 56%. So what you're seeing essentially here is a very clear indication that a majority of Americans, in fact, when they're asked this blunt question, which I believe gets at the underlying feelings, do in fact want to deport all immigrants who are here illegally. There's no arguing with these different numbers because they're all essentially the same across 4 different pollsters.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me today. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and most importantly, please make sure that you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. With the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's news. And today we have to head on over to Los Angeles. Why? Because recently here in LA, where I am, there was a massive ICE raid that took place, which had Mayor Karen Bass crying crocodile tears over the fact that she was going to lose a good portion of her constituents, a good portion of her voters and potential future voters. And that's what we're going to get into as the video moves forward. So what I want to do first is that I want to get us caught up on what occurred with the massive ICE raid that took place in Los Angeles here. But we're not going to stay there because the meat of this video is going to focus on why Democrats are so hell-bent on stopping mass deportations. And that's what I really want to get into and what really matters and what counts in this video. But first, let's all get caught up on what occurred with the massive ICE raids that happened here in LA. So I want to do that next, and let's get into this video now.
MacArthur Park becomes the latest scene of a massive presence of immigration enforcement agents, heavily armed federal agents on horseback in military vehicles descending onto that park.
This time things ended differently than we've seen in the past. Fox 11's Laura Diaz live in downtown LA with more on what happened out there today. Laura.
Yes, the big question tonight is what was the purpose of the show of force? We can tell you that there were not that many people present in the park when that raid took place. And unlike other raids, advance word leaked out. Fox 11 was on the ground and up in the air.
This is an overreach of your authority.
By 11:10, there was tanks and all this. They got tanks all through here. They got the white vans. They got the trucks. They got all this shit out.
About 10:30 Monday morning, heavily armored Border Patrol officers with a fleet of vehicles and some on horseback descended on MacArthur Park. This is the heart of the immigrant community, just 2 miles from downtown LA. Sky Fox was overhead as the operation kicked in. Our Fox 11 photographer, Sam Dubin, on the ground, recording the dramatic scene. Immigration agents in military green carrying rifles. Neighbors and community activists rushed to the park, challenging those in the action. Children were scurried from the urban park.
The military pointed their guns at us and they were screaming at us, cursing to get the out of there.
For the record, I don't believe her. You know, that's just me for the record, though. You can't believe DNC lunatics when they're trying to give you sob stories. Never trust anybody. They're still masking up in 2025. Ridiculous. Anyways, I digress. Sorry.
Pointed their guns at us and they were screaming at us, cursing to get the out of there.
Among those arriving on the scene was LA Mayor Karen Bass, flanked by security and in a crush of people pushing for the operation to end. Our camera caught her on the phone, pleading with officials to stop.
You're getting ready to leave? Okay, please, can you leave ASAP? My comment is they need to leave, and they need to leave right now.
Okay, so we don't need to see any more of this. You're all caught up. What I do want to do, though, is listen to a little bit more of the wailing and gnashing of teeth from Mayor Karen Bass, because it does make me happy. I'm sorry, it does.
Sorry. Mayor Bass, I need to get my phone and we're departing.
Mayor Bass?
Mayor Bass. Any comment, Mayor Bass?
Thank you. Yes, my comment is they need to leave, and they need to leave right now. They need to leave because this is unacceptable.
You can't have this. Can we have her talk to me? We're getting her in the car right now. Sorry, we'll sort it out.
Okay, so that does it for that. Like I said, that was just for my own personal enjoyment, seeing Karen Bass very upset, extremely upset over the fact that, you know, she's going to be losing a lot of, you know, future potential votes, and just, you know, in general, just votes that they're expecting to have if a mass amnesty is to come about upon the next time that a DNC lunatic takes office. So now let's take a look at this here, right? Because like I stated, this is all about votes. This is all about maintaining power. When Biden unleashed the migrant crisis on us, it had nothing to do with having a bleeding heart for the rest of the third world who are struggling and need asylum to protect and save themselves from the tyranny and dictatorships that they're living under in their countries, right? To the degree that that may be true. That's not what it was all. That's not what that was about. It was always about securing votes in the House of Representatives, maintaining their electoral college votes, and then the potential voters that would come from those that are having, as those would call, anchor babies, right? Those that are able to misuse or I should say abuse the 14th Amendment, you know, which two illegal immigrants can have a child and that child will still become a citizen, then most likely that child will become a Democrat voter. You get what I'm saying? And then we also can never rule out mass amnesty, you know, and a fast track to citizenship, as Democrats like to say, which then also obviously the goal is for those who receive the fast track to citizenship becoming Democrat voters. Look at this here, because this is something that I've talked about numerous times over the past 2 years, and it's shown here on this chart that we have in front of us. The tweet reads, the 5 states that are perhaps the deepest blue politically and have the highest taxes are losing people at the fastest pace. 5 states with largest exodus percentage: New Jersey, Illinois, New York, California, and Massachusetts. As I've discussed numerous times over on past live streams, I've done a live stream in a long time. I'll get back to it eventually, right? But I've discussed this numerous times over the course of the last decade. Illinois, California, and New York have seen a consistent population decline, consistent over the course of a decade. What are the ramifications of this politically as it pertains to votes? As you can see here, Americans are voting with their feet, fleeing blue state tyranny for better run red states. Projected 2030 congressional reapportionment: Minnesota will lose a seat in the House of Representatives. California will lose 4 seats in the House of Representatives. Illinois will lose a seat in the House of Representatives. New York will lose 2 seats in the House of Representatives. And Philadelphia will lose 1 seat in the, or I should say Pennsylvania, excuse me, will lose 1 seat in the House of Representatives. DNC states will be losing a lot of seats, while red states will be gaining a lot of seats. Arizona will gain a seat. Texas will gain 4 seats. Florida will gain 4 seats. And North Carolina will gain a seat. That's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. And not just that, ladies and gentlemen, not just that people are fleeing to Florida and Texas, which is now flipping, you know, these blue states upside down on their head, to which they need illegal immigration to be a countermeasure, you could say, to the exodus that's occurring, right? The countermeasure, for lack of better words. But you also have here, you know, I just, you know, typed in Google very quickly, are blue states projected to lose electoral college votes by 2030? And the almighty AI, you know, of Google stated, yes, projections based on current population trends suggest that several traditionally blue states, which tend to vote for the Democrat Party, are likely to lose electoral college votes by 2030 following the next census and reapportionment. Okay? So what you're seeing here is this desperate need when you're looking at Karen Bass, when you're looking at Governor Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, when you're looking at J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, and Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, when you're looking at how desperately in these 3 states they are fighting to hold on to the illegal immigrant population, it's because illegal immigrants get counted on the U.S. Census. You don't have to be a citizen, okay? Illegal immigrants get counted on the census too, and your population size determines how many delegates represent you in the House of Representatives, and it also determines how many electoral college votes that you have in your state. That is what this is really about. This is not about having any type of bleeding heart for the third world. It's about DNC lunatics maintaining power for themselves. Okay, it's been obvious for the longest time now. I've been talking about this for so long. I mean, look at this here. This comes from PBS, right? PBS News. We all know PBS is DNC outlet. Democrats' future crisis. The biggest states that back them are shrinking. Look at this here. Texas and Florida are growing rapidly. California, Illinois, and New York are shrinking. They're shrinking, ladies and gentlemen. And this is why you have DNC lunatics like Alejandro Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, that were going crazy over the big, beautiful bill. What the big, beautiful bill does, on top of a bunch of other things, is that the big, beautiful bill turns ICE into the most well-funded law enforcement agency in the country. That's what it does effectively, right? Look at this tweet here that I want to read from AOC. She had a full meltdown. They try to convince you that they were so concerned about, oh my God, millions of people are going to get taken off of Medicaid. They could care less about that. They don't care about you being on Medicaid and your health or anything like that. This was about the funding of ICE and that $170 billion that was going to ICE to fund Trump's mass deportation, something that the country overall supports unanimously, regardless of whatever poll that you look at. We're talking about current polls. All current polls across the board show that American citizen voters, including immigrant voters, unanimously, the majority are in support of Trump's mass deportation still till this day in July of 2025. Look at this tweet here. AOC is absolutely melting down on blue cry over the big, beautiful bill's ICE funding. It's setting up to make what's happening now look like child's play. Darn right it is. They're all going back, AOC. And this is what AOC specifically had to say. I don't think anyone is prepared for what they just did with ICE. This is not a simple budget increase. It is an explosion, making ICE bigger than the FBI, U.S. Bureau of Prisons, DEA, and others combined. And she is absolutely correct. It is setting up to make what's happening now look like child's play. And people are disappearing. No one is disappearing. People are getting deported back to their home countries. You're just going to go home. That's all. But nobody's being disappeared. And once again, as it pertains to how well-funded ICE is becoming now, but she is absolutely correct. And this is precisely what I voted for. Look at this here from The Guardian, how Trump's bill will supercharge mass deportations by funneling $170 billion to ICE. Let me scroll down just a little bit, and then we're going to get just into like a paragraph of this article. Okay, so it reads here, and I'll focus a little bit more on the highlighted portion. The measure would authorize a level of immigration, the measure would authorize a level of immigration enforcement spending that analysis and advocates say is without precedent. Trump's so-called big, beautiful bill dedicates roughly $170 billion for immigration and border-related operations, a staggering sum that would make U.S. immigration and customs enforcement the most heavily funded law enforcement agency in the federal government. If this is what you voted for, let me know in the comment section below, because it's definitely what I voted for, right? It's definitely what I voted for. And once again, the crocodile tears that we're seeing, it's not because they actually care. They tell on themselves all the time what this is really about. As I stated, it's about votes and power, not about your grandma being on Medicaid, and not about those in the third world who may be living under tyranny and need asylum. They could care less about these things. It's about themselves and their own financial gain and their own lunacy behind it. Look at this here. Let me show you something very quickly. Let me zoom in just a little bit. You see this guy here? This DNC lunatic, his name is Maxwell Frost, right? His name is Maxwell Frost. He is of the AOC and Mamdani type, Zorhan Mamdani type, right? He is a complete radical lunatic. Let's read this off. Democrat Representative Maxwell Frost says he wants amnesty for every single illegal alien in America. Let's document every single one of them with a speedy path to citizenship. These people tell on themselves every single time. Let's get into this video next.
And to my Republican colleagues who say, I don't want any undocumented people in this country, I actually agree with you. So let's document every single one of them with a speedy path to citizenship. That's how we fix this problem.
Once again, they tell on themselves. He wants everybody to have a speedy, everyone, all at this point, because you have to remember, pre-migrant crisis, for the longest time, you heard this number about 11 million illegal immigrants in the country. I always favored the Yale University study that stated that it was really roughly around 22 million illegal immigrants into the country. I believe it was that much. You can't sit at 11 million illegal immigrants for a decade, and you keep telling me it's not growing. Clearly, it doubled, and it was at about 22 million, what Yale stated, right? We were at 22 million illegal immigrants pre-migrant crisis. When you put on top of that another 15 million, roughly around 15 million. What is that? If my math serves me correctly, which I'm not the best at, 22 million plus 15 is 37 million. So you're looking at 37 million illegal immigrants in the country that he wants to give all of them a fast track to citizenship. This country will be voting blue forever into eternity. You will have effectively lost the nation to lunatics like this man right here. And let me highlight to you in closing how much of a lunatic Representative Maxwell Frost is. He is what I call now an AOC Democrat. These are AOC Democrats now. These are complete lunatics like him, AOC and Mamdani. Take a look at this video here in closing.
Yeah, see, they say they're pro-life because they want the baby to be born, go to school, and get shot in the school. Die in...
Is this who you want running the country? These are the people you want running the country? I'm going to rewind and let it play fully. He spewed this nonsense out, and it made everybody go crazy just because of how, just the same way I had to stop. And I've heard this already, but every time you hear it, it's just like, oh, what did you just say? So obviously he's against, he's against, saving children in the womb. He's opposed to that, right? He loves that type of sacrificing, so this is how he speaks against those who are pro-life, right? Pro-lifers, you don't want the baby to perish in the womb. Apparently you want them to perish in the classroom. Apparently this is just, let me just let it play. Jesus.
Yeah, see, they say they're pro-life because they want the baby to be born, go to school, and get shot in the school. Die in the school, die on the streets. No, that is what they say.
I'm not going to say anything. You've gone over the cliff.
I moved to strike his words. Over the cliff.
Wait, you've gone over. We were going to be quiet, but you've gone over now.
I meant every word.
We are going to strike your words, But on the other hand, it might be good to leave your words. Might be good to leave your words. Because that's how you feel. But you are not going to come into this room and impugn our integrity. You will not.
I can't understand for the life of me how anybody votes Democrat. These people are completely crazy, completely crazy, completely insane. It's mind blowing to me. Liberalism, at this point, is just a mental illness. I just listen to the stuff that they say. Listen to this kind of nonsense, man. Do you really want these lunatics running the country? And that's what illegal immigration is all about for these people. Securing House votes, securing Electoral College votes, securing future votes from the children of those illegal immigrants, and from a potential citizenship for all that would secure votes for them as well. You'd have lunatics like this running the country. I'll leave it there. I'll leave it there. So with all that being said, that does it for today's news. Please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video on your social media platforms. And also don't forget to follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram is in the description box below and pinned in the comment section as well. Thank you all for your time. Until next video, peace and have a great afternoon.